Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for attending today. My name is Jay Nadler. Along with Blake Waddell and Lindsay Gibson, we are National Group Benefit Meeting. For those of you who are new to joining us, this is your first time. National Group Benefit Meeting came together from CGIB. If you're not members of CGIB, we'll talk about that more at the end. But we all find CGIB to be our best source of education and community in the group benefit world. And from CGIB at the beginning of COVID, we came together to form an education platform to help people out. So the general rules is that it's advisors helping advisors. If there's questions that people can help with, we encourage the community to help people with those questions. The other rule is that there's no sales on this platform. Today we will be talking about CRMs, but not from a sales point of view, from an actual user point of view. So what you're going to hear about today is Blake Waddell, Chris Gorey, and Chris Price, and then myself are going to show you the platforms that we use, and we are going to show you how we use them. And I think what's going to be really interesting is that I am sure we are going to all use them completely different from each other. So for those of you who are thinking about getting your first CRM or already have a CRM, hopefully you're also going to get some ideas about how you can better use your system. The way it's going to work is you're all muted, but during the speaker, if you have a question specific to what they're talking about, please feel free to pop a question right into the chat, or actually just press your space bar, unmute yourself, and ask the question. So the way it's going to go is each of us have 15 minutes, and then there's going to be 5 minutes of Q&A following each of us. And once we're all done, there's going to be another 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A in case other questions come up and you want to revisit anything. So for the speaker portion, Lindsay Gibson is going to be your host. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay.
Thanks, Jay. All right. So like Jay alluded to, we're going to be covering Equisoft, Salesforce, Epic, and Zoho. We're going to start today off with Blake Waddell walking us through Epic. But before I pass it over to Blake, I wanted to share a little bio about Blake with you. Blake Waddell is the president of Waddell Insurance, a PC firm, and president of Waddell Benefits, a sister benefit company. Blake is a third generation in the insurance industry and has been in the industry since 2008. He's both an avid cyclist and skier. I'll pass it over to you, Blake.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. So let's discuss. So we use Applied Epic, and primarily we chose Epic because it integrates with all the P&C insurers. But as kind of Aon Hub and all those really big guys that also use Epic have started buying all these benefit firms, they've really made a shift in the last few years to really make it a little bit more benefits focused as well. And so when you log in, this is your home screen. And it's totally customizable. So I'm in a demo mode right now, but as you can see, you can kind of make it anything you want. So you can have your sales pipeline, your renewals coming up, all of your activities that you need to do and everything right on your home screen, which makes it super nice. And then
Blake,
I'll just
why did you choose Epic? Why did you choose Epic?
Mainly because it's what about 70% of property and casualty companies run on, and they've got all of the integration with the P&C companies. And so our company is about 90% P&C and about 10% group benefits. And so it was really the P&C that drove the decision. And this is going back about 17 years is when we first started using the predecessor to Epic called Applied TAM.
Awesome, thanks.
And so click on accounts. It's going to pull up another screen. You can just kind of view all of your clients. And then within the client viewing section, you got a lot of different options where you can look at kind of, if you want to see what policies they have, you can click on policies. And all of this is totally customizable. So you can choose what policies to create. You can have group benefits, critical illness, life insurance, and things of that nature. And you've got all of the effective, all of the expiries and everything built right into the policies tab here. Another good one's attachments, where kind of anything that you want to attach, you can attach directly into the client. So I'll quickly show you, especially emails. You can drag and drop anything into a client. But also if you're going to be sending an email, it's got this little tab right here that says attach to Epic. So if I send myself an email, click that tab, it pulls up this screen where you'll pick the client to attach it to. And basically whatever you put in the description is totally searchable. So if I, for example, say another EOR from a mainstay client, and anytime I search mainstay, it'll quickly pull up anything with mainstay. Click finish. And this is what brings up your activity. And so email sent, and you pick up the follow-up date. So let's say I want to follow up in 5 days. I would just pick 5 days. Pick the work group and click finish, and it's automatically in 5 days going to pop up an activity now for me for that follow-up. So rather than, I know some people try to do that in Outlook and try to manage all of that, we just manage it all through activities. And the other really cool thing is when you attach something, you can make it client viewable. So we actually have, I'll show you a really cool portal here. So all of our clients have access to their portal if they'd like to. And this is all built right into the Epic platform. So if I bring this over here, you can see we've got our own app. So if you click on the app, it'll log you right in. So this is all my personal stuff. So you can see my personal policies, and anything that you've made client viewable under documents will show up under documents. So you can share stuff directly with your client as you're putting it right into your system, which is pretty neat. So then moving along here. I go back to the home. Next is the accounting section. So we run all of our accounting within our broker management system here. So our month-end balance sheets, our month-end P&Ls are all entered right into here, which is really nice. And you can set it to automatically email you. So at the end of every month, we just get an automatic email kind of containing all of our financials. And that's for our benefits and for our P&C company. It's all housed in one place, which is really nice. And if you keep going down, configures where you can kind of customize everything. So let's say we wanted to add a policy, you can go down to policies. And this is where you can customize kind of anything that you want to customize. This is where you configure your home base and just kind of everything here. A big one to touch on, security, where you can have different security structures. So for example, if you just want to have CSRs just doing one thing and access to one thing, you can do that. If you have salespeople, so our salespeople only have access to their clients, they can't access any of the brokerage clients unless it's their own client. And you can totally customize kind of everything the way you want to have it seen. The biggest kind of coolest feature is this renewals manager. So you click on this and it's going to tell you everything that's coming up for renewal. So it's set up right now for 3 months. You can search by kind of policy expiration. And so you can really manage your renewals very well with this. It's super easy. And let's say these guys we've renewed. You just right click, hit renew. It's going to bring you right to the policy screen. And all you do is, so it's automatically says 2022 to 2023. You can make any changes if you want. You re-enter the premium. So let's say it's 5,000, you get 1,000 commission. Click finish, it's going to save everything. And next year, it's just going to show right up, back up in your renewals manager. So the renewals manager is a super nice feature to have to stay on top of everything and make sure nothing's missed. Sometimes it makes you put all the stuff in before it'll do anything. And the other thing is the attachments. So that's kind of anything that's been attached. I'll go back into ABC company here. So if we look at attachments, anything you do attach stays in there and it's fully date stamped. So if you ever have kind of any issues, any legal matters, you can say, look, I sent this email. It's going to tell you the time, even down to the second. This is what was sent to the client, and it saves everything right in here. And that's essentially saved forever. So you can go last 18 months and it won't let you delete. So let's say I wanted to delete this. If I hit and hit delete, it'll just be moved into the inactive. You can't actually delete anything out of here unless you've got the supreme rights, which usually only the owner would have. But so none of your employees, if you have them, can delete anything from there. And the last thing I'll show you here is transactions. And so what you want to do, so this is where you're going to track all your commissions and everything. So you add a transaction. Let's just say it's a new piece of business. It's going to bring you into this where you pick the carrier, you pick the premium, you pick the percent of commission. So you got $1,000 commission there. And then you can even break it down by producer, where if you got a producer that maybe takes 50%, you do 50%, and that's going to all feed back into those month-end reports that you get. Just makes it super simple, super easy. And then you can every month, and especially at year end, kind of just run whatever company reports you need, compare them to the carrier reports, and hopefully you're spot on. I think I've got a couple more minutes here. So the last thing I'm going to show is the reporting. So you can run all kinds of reports within this as well. Whether it's based on accounts, you can run client lists, company lists, kind of renewal lists. It's got all these great detailed reports, and it's super nice because you can set them to just run automatically monthly, set them to run once a year. So you just set up your October renewals. If you want to get kind of emailed in August what they are, you just set that up once. Click email me in the future every September 1st, and it will just keep emailing you. So same with accounting, you can run your balance sheet, kind of all of your P&Ls. Management, if you want to see when people are logging in, you can get a login report. And of course, all the policy information, where if you want to see what your book of business is with an insurer or really anything, you can run all those reports within there. So I think that's it for me. So if you want to carry on to the next one, Linz, any questions before we carry on?
There are questions. Jay, you're on mute.
Yeah, my first question, well, my only question is, this is designed for PNC. So if people are not in the PNC world, A, can they buy it? And B, can it work with whether it's individual or group or investment as well?
So we don't do investments, so I can't really comment on how it would work with investments, but certainly group, it works. PNC and group are very similar, right? They renew every year. It's almost identical mirrored options, so it works very well with group, and even the individual life and health, where you can set up a 10-year term policy where it's going to remind you kind of at that end of 10 years, they're going through a rate increase and things of that nature. So it works very well for group and life and health.
Lindsay, do you want to do the chats, Lindsay, or shall I?
No, I can do it for sure. So there's one question, Blake. Can the transaction be triggered when a policy renews or have a prospect turn into a sale?
So yeah, so on the PNC side, the transactions automatically occur because they sync with the insurer's software. So I'm hoping that's going to come out to group one time, would be super nice. But you can make a transaction kind of whenever you want, but it doesn't happen automatically on the benefit side, just the PNC side.
Okay, thank you. And there's one more, just to confirm, currently you do not use the CRM to track client-specific details like rates, plan design, claims history, etc., but you link those docs files in the CRM, correct?
Correct, yeah. So it's got a feature that we don't use at all, where you can essentially make folders within the client to save everything, because we've had a shared office drive for 17 years. We just moved that all over to OneDrive. So it would be a kind of identical to OneDrive. For people who use that, you can build that within the system. You can't transfer from OneDrive into the system. So we would have had to rebuild the whole thing. This is the only reason we didn't use that feature.
And the approx cost for Epic?
So it's got a large upfront cost. So you're about 10 grand in the upfront cost. And then depending what features you use, you're anywhere from about 700 to 900 a month for the user.
And can you record commissions received from carriers?
Yeah, so what happens is, like, we record, so when you do that transaction, it's going to record it. But also when you're just dealing with the general ledger and the bank account, you're also going to record what exactly comes into the bank account. So you're going to essentially be tracking it twice, and which is great because at the end of the year, you can run those reports and make sure they match up.
Okay, thank you. And one last question, Blake. Is there anything that you don't like about your current CRM, or is there anything you would change if you could?
So something I certainly would love to change would to have it be integrated with the life insurance company software. So it would just automatically, when there's amendment policies, kind of plan documents, have them automatically attached to the client and go right into the portal. Would be super nice because it saves us a lot of data entry. And same thing with the commission statements and everything. If that was all coordinated, it would make a huge difference.
Awesome. Well, there's no more questions in the chat, so thank you. Great information. And if there's any more questions,
there actually was 2 extra questions that popped up at the end there. One was that 700 to 900 per user per month was the question.
Yeah, correct. Per user per month.
And
there's another one.
Yeah. And then will it incorporate VoIP phone systems into it?
That I don't know.
It does.
Okay.
Does it?
There you go.
And the how to transfer into Epic, well, I would probably speak to Epic about the how. That's beyond the scope of this session today. That'd be a long conversation.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, the one last thing I will mention is the support is phenomenal. If you ever have any issues, they've got a chat function, and usually within about 5 minutes, they'll have it solved. And if they can't solve it quickly on the chat, they'll just dial right into your system and fix it, usually within about 3 or 4 minutes. Like I'm super impressed with the back-end support they offer.
That's important to have for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Blake. Great, awesome. So we're going to move on to the next speaker of today. That is going to be Mr. Chris Gorey. Chris is going to be walking us through Salesforce, but before I pass the floor over to him, I want to tell you a little bit about Gorey. So he is a benefits tech nerd, but seriously, Chris started his insurance career in 1995. 1995, Chris, whoa. Working for Applied Systems, a PC software provider. He then started Orchard Benefits, formerly Insurance Portfolio Financial Services, in 2001, started working exclusively in the benefits industry in 2006, and started working with the tech startups in 2008. He is an advisor at several tech incubators and has spoken on benefits and tech to groups such as CGIB, CCALU, IFEBP, and also he's a spreadsheet creator extraordinaire. Just ask all of the members of CGIB that use the Slack channel. I'll pass it over to you.
I didn't include that last one in my bio, so I don't know what you did there, Linz. So, okay, so at the beginning, Jay said we can't, this is not a sales meeting, so I just call this force and skip the sales part of it. So I'm just nitpicking there, and Jay, what you said. So, okay, so hi everybody. I'm probably going to run over my time allotment, and that's okay for me, for Chris Price, because he has a dog that he has to take care of at 12:30. So Chris, I'll be long-winded for your sake. What I'm going to do is I actually threw together just some slides because we were given some questions ahead of time. So I've thrown together on a deck. I've got Salesforce in both the sandbox and a live environment. I'll share both with you guys. So let me just pop over and share that right now. Okay, so let's start off with the deck. Okay, so first questions. I'm not going to go full screen. You can see everything here. So the questions that were posed to us ahead of time. Why did I want a CRM? So Blake actually mentioned that wonderful customer service he gets from Applied Systems. Yeah, thanks, Blake. I actually worked there back in 95 to 97. So I've always been drawn to the CRM side of it. Reasons for it. Pre-COVID, working with a lot of tech companies, you're sitting in front of the client, they want instant information. Saying, oh, I'll get back to you when I get back to the office is not good enough for them. They wanted information on the spot. But now, post-COVID, really, because we're coming out of it, hopefully. It allows me to work from wherever I want. And if you guys know me, I do work from wherever. I think I've been called a gypsy by Richard Sist in Slack. So why did I choose Salesforce? So back in 2017, Dave Patriarch asked if I would actually do a presentation on CRMs to CGIB. So he actually gave me 9 months lead time. So I demoed literally 15 different platforms during that time. I was using one of Applied's products, and I settled upon Salesforce after kicking the tires on a bunch of them. Reason being, it's secure. The data is hosted in Canada. It's very customizable, and we can talk about Fiverr and Upwork in just a second. The integrations are endless. You have all the data in one central location. Some of the CRMs that I looked at required having documents on Dropbox or Google Drive or wherever. This is all in one central spot. And it's me. I'm a one-person shop and allowed for one license. Some of the CRMs required like a 3-person license or a 5-person license. I just want to circle back on the third point, customizable. One of the things I really liked about Salesforce is that you can find people on platforms like Fiverr or Upwork to customize the fields within Salesforce. And you'll see in a second what I've done. I've put in everything from premiums to IBNRs, trends, pooling charges. It's all there. I've done little, bits here and there. Add this on. Recently, I just added on fields for online pharmacies. My total spend customization on Salesforce from 2018 until now has been $1,400, all through Fiverr. There are multiple people. I use one guy, but there are multiple people on there who can do your customization for you. I like the security side of it. There's a native Salesforce app that requires me to put in a code. As you can see, there's a little screen grab there. And as mentioned, the data is hosted in Canada. There's a CGIB member named Chris Nicholson, who's based in PEI. He's also involved, he's obviously in the benefits industry, but he's also involved with the Navy. So he confirmed the government of Canada actually chose Salesforce for their CRM because it confirmed the data is hosted in Canada. What don't I like? The reporting off the custom fields is difficult. And it doesn't save stuff to history by default. So I can, add all my stuff in, but, to see what the TLRs were last year versus this year, I either have to upgrade to a higher version, a new version, which is going to cost me more, or I have to look at ancillary add-ons, and I'm in the midst of doing that right now. What does it integrate with? There's a massive platform called Salesforce App Exchange, which has literally thousands of apps on there. Zapier, if any of you are not using Zapier, take a look at that platform. It has integrations all over the place. I use Zapier every day. The ones I use, Gmail, which I'll show to you in a second, MailChimp. So anytime I add someone to Salesforce as a contact, they automatically get added to my MailChimp distribution list for email blasts. I'm implementing Ring Central so that any inbound calls will be attached within Salesforce. And I use a platform called Cloud Ally to back up my data every day. This is just a screen grab. I'll show you what it looks like of how I can actually attach emails from within Salesforce, from within Gmail to Salesforce. I'll show you that in a second. Just screen grabs from App Exchange and from Zapier. Customer service has been excellent. The one time I used them, I didn't know when I first signed up, my data wasn't hosted in Canada. So to move it to Canada, they were fantastic. It was a 3-week process and they were outstanding. Costs approximately $1,100 US per person per year. As mentioned, my customization costs were about $1,400. So this is my sandbox environment that I've just set up just strictly for this. You can see what I've done is I've customized all the screens on the front so we can actually do monthly premium by insurance company. The employee count is down here. It gives you a monthly premium of all of your entire block. You can also have an expiry list down the front page. You can customize different things. One of the things I just added on was online pharmacies and HRS systems. So that's all down here. So where is it pulling this information from? Let me show you. You can actually go into, let's choose Sun Life. Knowing how much Blake loves Sun Life, I've actually put 3 demo clients in here, named one after Jay, one after Blake, and one after Lynn's. And you can see we've got Jay's Cannabis Shop and Waddell Enterprises. And for Blake, since he loves Sun so much, we've actually put him with Sun Life.
So Chris,
Yeah, Blake.
How do you track Sun Life 7 contract changes they make every month in your CRM? I'm just curious.
Truthfully, I actually, do you know the app Boomerang? So you can actually have an email sent back to you at a predetermined date. I just use Boomerang to keep sending it back to me every month. So maybe they're actually going to enforce it or not. So this is what I've done for data. So the top section, the top left corner is what comes by default within Salesforce. Everything that we're going to see below there are fields that I've added on as part of that $1,400 spend that I've done. And these are drop-down menus. So for example, Blake's with Sun Life. So you can see all the different carriers that are here. I've just put in a policy number, effective and expiry. Got the waiting period. Again, these fields are all completely customizable, hours per week. I've also just added in a field for the last day marketed. And also we're setting up a customer portal with a Canadian platform. So I've just added that field in the last 2 weeks. Also added in online pharmacies. So down here, we get into all the various things for health and dental. The premium tabulation that's done up here, the $49.50, is automatically tabulated based off of the demographics, the single, couple, family for health premiums and for dental. So you can see I've added in TLRs, IBNRs, trend pooling, and I've broken it down because Canada Life, as you know, has different IBNRs for different products within EHC. So there are all the calculations based off of dental, and there's my life insurance, and all of these things, when tabulated, add up to the $49.50. I update this just upon renewal. Don't get a feed, unfortunately, from insurance companies, and I don't update it as changes are made to coverage, just upon policy renewal. On the right-hand side, pardon me, are the follow-ups. You can actually see different follow-ups that I've just put in this dummy account. Under related, I'm not using many of the fields. There's a ton of things you can actually do in here, but you see all the attachments at the bottom. So for example, there's Blake's claims experience, the demographics, and there's the renewal. Of course, Blake, I had to put in the Sun Life contract just as your renewal documents, okay? To see what it looks like in a live environment, this is my own account. So you can see I've got over here on the right, the various follow-ups. Emails are attached here. They appear with a different icon. And you can see this is how it looks. And all the follow-up, all the attached documents are here at the bottom. Okay. Just going back to one of the things I talked about briefly, you can attach emails from within Gmail to Salesforce. The great thing is you would actually just add a contact. You saw that screenshot before. You can also call information from within Gmail about the account within Salesforce. So for example, I've attached my name to this file. So within Gmail, I can actually just click on the company name and I can get all the information there. So you don't even have to go into Salesforce to pull the data in. Policy number, effective expiry, everything else. That's all available within there. And you can also see documents and open activities. You're probably wondering what this looks like. You've seen what it looks like on my Mac. You're probably wondering what it looks like on an iPad. Here's some screen grabs of what it looks like within my iPad. The idea, again, is that I can work from wherever and have the information available to me at any time. Okay, I've flown through a lot there. We're at 12:31. What was my upfront cost was a question from Stacy. It's the upfront cost. I'd have to double check on that for you, Stacy. I'm not sure, but it's yes, my monthly bill with, well, my billing with Salesforce is $310.90 some odd cents every quarter. I think is what it is. That includes tax, so it's $1,100 US plus tax. So it's $310.93 per quarter. So, am I using Essentials? I plead the fifth on what Essentials is. I'm not even sure. So the answer is no to that. Yeah, and then just, I mean, we're amongst friends here. Which Salesforce platform this is? It's a sales platform. So yeah, it's the most basic one, Marianne. So you can see this is my entire block. So I've got all the data here. This is what it looks like in a live environment. So all my expiries, HRIS, RSP, and all the data. This is just the condensed version you saw here in the sandbox. Okay.
Wendy just had a comment. Don't try to cancel it mid-year though, because they won't allow you to.
No, that's fair. A lot of software platforms won't allow you to midterm. So,
Chris, was there any key features? Was there anything specifically, and maybe I missed it, and if I did, I'm sorry, that really drove you to choose Salesforce over any of the other ones that you had tried or have
yeah,
tried?
it was the customization, Linz. I really liked how I can customize it and find lots of people. So before, I looked at when I was speaking for CGIB back in 2017, I looked at Capsule, I looked at Zoho, I looked at a whole bunch of them, and I went over to Fiverr and I looked at the number of people who were available to do the customization. And hands down, Salesforce had the most people available at the best rates to get all the work done for me. So that was a big thing. The Canadian data was another thing, and having everything in one consolidated location. Side note, unlike Blake's, I use a different accounting platform called Xero. I don't have a tie-in between my accounting platform and my CRM.
Okay. Fabulous. Does anybody have, thank you, Chris. Does anybody have any other questions before we move on to Chris Price? No? Okay. Well, before I pass it over to Chris. Oh, is there one?
I just want to add one thing. Okay, there wasn't a question that came up. I've spoken to some of you before about CRMs. Someone asked before, hey, they said it's a really great setup that I've got. I'm not saying what I've done is perfect. It works for me. Chris Nicholson, who's in PEI, has done a better job. Not a better job, but a different job. It works for him. And I think, Chantel, I think you and I actually spoke about this one time. I can actually port setup. I can actually take my setup, and if someone's using the exact same version of Salesforce, you can actually take the customization I've done and move it over. It can be done for a couple $100 through the guy who's been doing my customization. He's a little backed up. He's booked until December, but if it's something that you guys are interested in, just let me know. Happy to help any way I can. And there was one last question that came up from Sean. How do I track prospects? Sean, I'm all about the follow-ups. So I'll put a prospect in, and I will have follow-ups in for some. I'll have like 20 follow-ups in for people, active clients, terminated clients to circle back, prospects. Yeah, I just put this all through my follow-ups that appear. Sorry, Linz, for hijacking this.
Hijack away.
So my tasks that appear in the top right-hand corner, I work off that. There's nothing in the sandbox, but I just work off that. So all my prospecting is actually every day. First thing I do is look at the tasks screen and do all my prospecting from there.
Tim White has a question. Can we buy that format from you?
Yeah, just Tim, just reach out. So, and Stacy, please reach out as well. Happy to help you guys.
Okay, thanks, Chris. All right, so Chris Price will be walking us through Zoho. Chris Price is a group benefits professional with over 30 years of industry experience. He has an extensive understanding of the management of employee benefit programs from working with a wide range of employer groups. In his early days of his career, he worked as a technical analyst for various Toronto-based benefit consulting firms, and then at a large national insurer as a business development manager. Chris has a strong belief in professional development. Not only is he a graduate of the University of British Columbia and the Faculty of Education, but he has also earned his Certified Employee Benefit Specialist (CEBS) designation in March 2001 from Dalhousie University. He's also a proud member of the CGIB. Over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you. I never want to follow up behind Chris Gorey again. I'm never going to do that for anything. I don't know how I got selected as following up behind you. That's a tough act to follow. So this is actually going to be good for the people that are not tech savvy like Chris, like myself. And so this is the way to really keep it simple, stupid, right? So we're a small firm of just 2 people. And I'm just going to, instead of going to the Zoho platform, I'm going to answer off, just make sure that we cover off the questions that were provided in advance, just because I think that way we don't miss anything. And then I'll go to the Zoho platform. And unfortunately, I don't have a sandbox. It's going to be the live kind of version. And you can kind of see what it is that we do. I can assure everybody that we are using less than about 1% of all of the capacity of the system. We got off thinking we're going to do all of these great things. And unlike Chris, that has obviously mountains of time to sort of be able to sort of put things on the system, we just found that we just got overwhelmed with work. And I think that this platform Zoho is going to be really good for a smaller office, a smaller enterprise shop that wants to grow, wants to put really good processes in place to sort of be able to see everything and to sort of keep really structured. But I think I have attention deficit disorder, so I find it very difficult to even keep up on the follow-ups, and you guys will see that when you take a look. So first things first, cost. I always think that that's a big consideration for most people. So 2 users for the Zoho platform. And by the way, we're talking about Zoho CRM, but we actually invested in Zoho One, which actually has like at least 30 different programs that are tied into it. It's a central database, but you can have everything, from Zoho books to, subscription formats to all kinds of things. I'll show you that real quickly, just to sort of, let you know that there's a plethora of other programs that are sort of tied in. I know we're focused on the CRM, but we don't have that basic CRM. But I would almost encourage you to sort of say the CRM is probably all you need, and we have just way too much. So anyways, from a cost standpoint, 2 users, it's $101 plus tax, $13. So it's $114 a month, which is about, $1,400 a year for 2 users. In terms of the migration of data, we used ACT for years. ACT got really complicated and wasn't really good on mobile. And there's different programs that we had to use for mobile, and it didn't work for us. And so the moving of data from ACT to Zoho was really straightforward. I probably could have done it if I was more, advanced, because all it was like, downloading, files in Excel and then just mapping them to the Zoho fields. And we had somebody do that. I can't remember the cost, but they did other kind of customizations. I'm going to hazard to say that was like a, $300 to $500 expenditure. So not really anything crazy. So why we figured we needed a CRM was to obviously manage contacts, conversation tracking, prospecting, all of that kind of stuff we thought was really important. And funny, Chris, you mentioned the CGIV event. The reason why we chose Zoho was after your discussion and looking at Salesforce, which really, we thought was really complicated at the time. We looked at Zoho and thought, hey, there's all these great things that I think we're going to be able to use. And as it turned out, obviously 5 years later, 6 years later, we've just used a fraction of them, unfortunately. So what I love about the application, as I said, is, and wouldn't you know that, film, as I said, is the ability to see things on the move and to be able to access the system anywhere, anytime is really good, whether at a client or otherwise. The flexibility of the system is incredible. The ability to automate tasks. And what I mean by automate tasks is that if you have people that are coming to your website and you want to convert them from a prospect right into the CRM, the ability to do that, the ability to program things so that you can kind of look and see, was there a contact that I haven't, reached out to in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months? The system's able to sort of get you that information. If you are somebody that is system focused and process focused, the ability to sort of put, especially if you have an office with new people coming in and out, the ability to do things like, if you want to program, okay, we have a new client on board, we got to send a new business checklist, we got to send them a newsletter, we got to send them XYZ, whatever it is that you want in terms of a process. There is a way to make it very, very easy for staff to sort of be able to do that. So the automations are incredible. You're probably not going to be able to do it yourself, but just as Chris said, we have, and this leads into the service thing, we have a Canadian organization that does some customizations. We feel that that's actually pretty beneficial. Otherwise, the service from Zoho is via chat. Email takes a little bit longer. If you send an email to support, they'll get back to you like 4 days, but to have that online chat, they'll come onto your system, they'll do what they need to do, and it's all good. But we liked having, just somebody that was local to sort of be able to walk us through certain things. And we just thought it was easier from a language standpoint too, sometimes to, audibilize what it was that we wanted. So we kind of have a couple of firms that we use for those things. Also, I guess what I don't like, I guess, Lindsay, that would be one of your questions. What we don't like about the system is that, so if there's a couple of different users, I don't have the ability to hide things. So if there's something that I wanted to put as a reminder in tasks, I don't have that ability to sort of hide it from my coworker, whether that's doctor's appointments, whatever it is, RSP contributions that you want to make, whatever the case is, it becomes somewhat public. From a security standpoint, the security is impeccable. I'm able to go in, I'm able to take a look at each user, assign whatever security profile I want, whether it's view only, whether the ability to change programs, to make changes in the programs. So security is like, off the charts, like fantastic. I think that those were the sort of key ones that I wanted to make sure that we sort of addressed, and everything else I will go through. Oh, and also from a email integration, it's all the contacts are segmented essentially, or are categorized by email. So when I send an email, and the Outlook integration, we use Office 365 is incredible. So if I send an email, it automatically attaches right to the contact. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to make any, I don't have to go click on anything else. It automatically attaches. And when I go into the record, I'm able to sort of see it. So from that standpoint, it's obviously really good. So I think I'm just going to jump to it and kind of try and share my screen. So I just because Chris, you came to mind, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, good. So what comes to mind is, Chris, I just set you up as a contact this morning. I can't believe that I've never set you up as a contact, but I guess we reach out in other different ways. You're able to sort of do a lot of different things in terms of some of the fields that we have in here for a contact, date of birth, spouse, favorite activity. I've always kind of have these things in here, but I don't always kind of use them. Obviously, if we have a client, you want to know the insurance company policy number, and these are all things that you can easily do. You don't need to contact anybody to sort of be able to do it. It's stuff that you can kind of go into the system to sort of be able to just add yourself. So I think from a programming standpoint, it makes it really easier. Like I've added in things like receptionist, like I haven't added that in for obviously Chris, but like I'm just trying to show you like how easy it is to sort of do stuff. It picks up some of the last emails that were sent. So if I sent an email, I'm able to sort of see what the email is, the date. I can go back and look at it. If there's any activities that I've programmed for anybody, and I should probably move this over so you can see if there's any activities, whether it's calls, whether it's meetings, it's all there. Anything that I've closed off. There's also a social thing as well. So obviously, if you have any contact that is on social media, you can kind of see, what it is that they have been sending out, once you identify what the right person is. So, this is Chris's information there. So I really like this kind of system for that. And once again, we're all between friends. I don't have a sandbox. This is going to be, my live information. So hold off on the AORs, kind of, don't do them right away. Maybe wait a little bit so that I'm not bankrupt. But this is what I see when I go into the system in terms of tasks to accomplish. There's so many things that I don't accomplish on time, but you can kind of program that any way you want. Lead status, we have a telemarketer, but that's another discussion. All the leads we get are like terrible, so sort of weeding through. Sometimes I don't even call them back. So don't look at me as some sort of guru of managing the system. But this is totally customizable to what it is that you want, your pipeline, any sales that you have, etc. You can kind of put it in there. So as I said, very customizable. The one that I'm going to show you is, the accounts, your accounts, every contact that you have is designated by an account. I don't use the system appropriately. I still kind of use the old contact system, the way that we used to do it from ACT. And so every account can have multiple contacts. So that's kind of nice. So you can have a few different accounts with different contacts, and you're able to sort of put that information in. But for contacts, you can then segment your contacts any way you want. So if I had some group prospects in there, I can put the group prospects, any associates from the insurance companies or anything else, you could segment it that way. So whichever way you want the information, it's there. If there's anything that's outstanding that you haven't closed off, this is obviously something that I didn't close off. It was arrange another meeting that I never closed off. So it kind of warns you of that. So, all your client information would be there, insurer, any lapses, whatever it is that you want is sort of there. So I find that to be very useful. Any meetings, activities, upcoming meetings, and you can segment it any way you want. There's all these different, any canceled meetings, your upcoming meetings for today's, this week's meetings, next week's, whatever you want, activities, the same sort of thing. You have to put a lot of information in. And I think for these CRMs to work, you almost have to be somewhat diligent in your time to sort of be able to put all of the information in that you want. So that, I think, is the sort of issue, is that you spend a lot of time to try and stay organized, right? So all of these things are different things that are upcoming in terms of calls. The reporting feature, sorry, that was calls. I just kind of jumped by, but overdue calls, if you wanted to keep track of stuff, all the functionality is there. We don't have it integrating into any VoIP systems. I know that was an earlier kind of commentary, but I think this stuff is as good as you are. Garbage in, garbage out. So, I don't know, take that for what it's worth, right? Do you want to spend all your time documenting, or do you want to keep track of the most important things that are probably important to your business? All kinds of reporting, your ability to do lead reports and activity reports. I think that this system really kind of lends itself to an organization that is kind of growing. If you're, 2, you want to get to 5, or 5, you want to get to 10, there's all kinds of information there. I don't use any of it just because it's frankly somewhat, I think, overkill. All the different dashboards and all the different things that you can do, I think, is fantastic, but you could change all these dashboards, the way you want them. But I find it very, I don't know, I use the system pretty much as a CRM. I use it to sort of track, my schedule, keep track of any appointments. But aside from that, I don't get too much into the weeds. I'll show you the lead component really quick.
Chris,
Oh.
I have to stop you. I care about leads deeply, trust me. But in the interest of letting Jay speak
Sorry
too.
about that.
No. This has been
Yes.
great, and thank you so much. And maybe if there's questions afterwards, we can certainly come back and talk
Sure.
about it. Again, I don't want to stop you, but I also want to give Jay a quick chance to talk about Equisoft.
Sure. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, don't be sorry. That was all great information, and we totally appreciate it. I'm sure everybody on here did too.
Okay.
Okay, Jay, don't go yet. I have to introduce you.
Wait. Before I talk, do we want to let some people ask Chris some questions? Yes,
let's do that for sure. Let me go check those out. So yes, there are a couple questions, Chris. So one's from Nicholas. Is there a way to keep track of metrics such as commissions per client, premium specific touch points per year, etc.?
Absolutely. There's all kinds of fields that are very customizable. We have one for commissions. But once again, the system is only as good as you. So keeping track of all that stuff is very, very difficult. We're not as organized as Chris. So it's very difficult to sort of really manage the system. The more information you put in, it's great, but boy, it becomes very cumbersome to track it all.
Right. That's fair. Jay, was there any more? Was that the only one you saw?
I wasn't watching questions at that point.
That's okay. That's the only one I see right now. And again, after Jay's presentation, there's going to be some time to open it up for any questions that may have been missed, or if you think about something that you want to ask. So Jay will be walking us through Equisoft. Jay Nadler is the president of Naviguide. He's been in the industry since 2002 and specializes in group benefits. Before founding Naviguide, Jay had many careers. He managed retail stores and movie theaters. He worked with a circus. I didn't know that. Drove courier trucks, ran the commercial sales department for MEC when it was growing 40% per year, and spent many years selling enterprise level IT systems and support services. Just prior to entering the insurance world, he was an elementary school teacher. Jay also is an avid cyclist. He's just recovered from a recent spill. He likes to sea kayak and he loves to ride his motorcycle. Over to you, Jay.
Thanks,
Linz, there's the look at my background for Jay's proof of being
That
a
is
clown.
the best.
And that wasn't my circus days, that was fundraising. I'm also going to introduce Paolo Cannizzaro. There is so much that this piece of software can do that if there are any odd questions, I asked Paolo from Equisoft to back me up. So on that note, let me share my screen. And we're right into Equisoft. So why did I pick Equisoft? I've been using CRMs now for upwards of 25 years. Back in the days of the old AS400 when I was at NEC, when I got into the insurance world, the first person I worked with put me onto Maximizer. When I opened up my own business, Marathon, 18 years ago, I chose Act for Advisors. They were also similar. Act for Advisors was a little bit nicer because it was customized a bit. We left Act for Advisors because it was limited. Customer service I found wasn't great, and we built a custom CRM. And custom CRM was great because you could make it do anything you want. The problem when you want to build a custom CRM is that it's kind of like saying, you know, go do anything you want. Your brain like just can't handle that, and you start thinking about all the things that you want to do, and $15,000 later it's still not doing all of them because you can do anything. So we did that for a while and it was really nice, and I sold Marathon. And the lovely thing when you sell a business and you start a new business is you get to say, what did I do wrong, what did I do right, what would I do different? And that's when I also start to think about, okay, new CRM, do I want to take what I had, do I want to go back to Act for Advisors? And I started researching all these different CRMs. I looked at Salesforce, I looked at Zoho, I looked at, I don't remember which ones I looked at. I chose Equisoft for one reason. And the reason I chose it is this. Gateways for J. Depending on who you work with, you can link right to them. So if you sell IA, if you're with one of these other firms, there's MGAs in here, there's a Manulife Gateway, Great West, Canada Life, RBC, Sun Life. What that means is that if you sell individual insurance, that you join the gateway, and if you make a sale, all the insurance information, all the client information pops into Equisoft for you the week after you place the policy. So policy numbers, beneficiaries, whatchamacallit, premiums, all that sort of stuff is automatically perfectly set up for you. So it was just a fabulous thing. I no longer sell individual product, but I'm still in this system. And
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah.
Is that just for individual, or does that for group as well?
No, it's just for individual. So that's where I started is, you know, I bought this because of the individual, because nobody else was doing that. So that reduced a lot of my workload in having to set up group, because one way or the other, I still had to set up group because nothing that I have found to date fully integrates with group businesses. So what does this thing look like? Well, first of all, when you come in, I want to say, just like Chris said, maybe I use 1% of the ability of this system. It is infinite. It is amazing. It is customizable. You can do it. The folks over at Equisoft can help you to some degree. I haven't looked at it, but I bet you that there's folks on Fiverr who can help you out as well. when you set it up, your dashboard has tons and tons and tons of options that you can use that will go right on your front page. Do you want to do something from your calendar? Do you want general insurance? Do you want to have your opportunities all on your dashboard? That's up to you and easily configurable. Really, I use this much like Chris uses his. This is a CRM to me. So you can have people listed as suppliers, you can have them as group insurance, you can have them listed as clients, you can have all their beneficiary information. Again, depending on what you need, you can make it do that or likely make it do that. Taking a look at Jordan, the nice thing with this system, a lot of nice things with this system. First of all, you know, anybody who's listened to Dave P before, he records all his calls. Well, you can record your calls right out of the system. Probably does incoming too. I've never used the incoming, but it's really easy to do that. How do I get back?
This is good to know, Jay. Thanks.
Oh, wait. The reason why I can't close it is because it's behind the little Zoom label. There we go. Okay. And there's so many different things in here. So let's go back to contacts. I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring myself up. So here's me. For instance, you know, so I could have all my information on a client. You know, here's my insurance information that has been popped in by the insurance companies on my policies. And it was really cool. A lot of these policies I did like 15, 20 years ago when I AOR'd them, they popped into the system. So really, really nice. But check this out. I think I've got to go back here. Let's go back to me. Come on. Oh, so by the way, don't blame the system for being slow. I live in an RD with really slow internet. Okay, so things I can do right out of here. Check this out. Hello. Was it this one? Check out all the different templates that I have. I can do all sorts of different things right out of the templates.
No, I think you were click on the drop down, generate PDF form merger. Yeah, click that.
It is.
Yeah, so there you have the companies, the carriers. If you click on right on the top, you're going to see a list of all the carriers, and then you could choose it.
Yeah, so
Right,
I don't use
all
much of this anymore because I don't do individual insurance very much anymore. But all the insurers are in there. And then like I want to do a beneficiary change request form. If I click on this, all of my information is just going to populate. Then I just have to write in who the new beneficiaries are, print it, sign it, send it. So,
Jay?
yep.
There's a question. Is there a CRM that links group business and advisor logins like Gateway and Equisoft?
I haven't found one. Apparently, Palo has said that they're thinking of working on having group benefit modules. I don't know if it's going to link. Palo, I don't know if you can answer that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for me to speak because there's no timeline on the developer side. I know it's in our pipelines, but I can't really give a timeline as to that. But I could say that when it comes to the gateway capabilities, I know that we were the only CRM in Canada that offered that. There might be some that started to offer it, but it's kind of an ongoing effort to just add as many carriers as we can quarter over quarter to be able to obviously work with the most carriers we can and get all that info in there.
So thanks. So if you want to search your clients, there are so many different ways that you can search your clients. So it really makes it just like all the other ones that you've seen. You can run your reports and do your searches for so many different things. But the real issue, if you have never used a CRM before, is it's in how you set it up. And the thing that I would say is just be sure that you're being consistent in how you set it up. Because if you're not always stating the insurance company or the policy type or first name, last name, whatever it might be, then your reports and your searches aren't going to work as well. So I'll show you how I use this, generally speaking, for group benefits. So you can see here's, believe it or not, he's not actually a client. So you can see I've got some basic info on the company right at the top. I've got all the contact information right in here. I know a little bit about the client and what he's into. There's all sorts of basic information that you can add at any time. You can add notes very simply. There's a couple different note boxes that come up. One that is traveling, where you can add a date and just talk about goals. For those of you who know about Marvin Martian, you know, and all those things just add right into the main information that you could see at any given time. The other thing that you can do is you can add as many different email addresses per person in the company. So, you know, I've got Marvin Martian's here, I've added my own, and you can keep on adding. So what that does for you, let's get rid of this one. What that does for you is, oh, it's not going to show here because there's no actual emails. So let me go back. It will track, it'll pull all your emails. It pulls emails, I know, from Outlook because I use Outlook. I know it pulls emails from Gmail. It probably pulls emails from a few other places. But if we look over here to Jordan, if I want to see all of our emails, our whole email list just shows up right here. Every single email that I've sent to him or that he's sent to me automatically will load in if you have sent put in that email contact information. Let's go back to Marv. Oh, I still have people coming in. So the way that I use this with group benefits is I use it very simply. You know, I put him in here. He's with IAE, for example, and I just write, typically I'll just write what they have, and I'll typically write the rate, and, you know, 0.5, 0.05, 0.06, whatever. I just have it simply noted there. The way that my brain works, I have Outlook as and OneDrive, SharePoint as my file systems. So that's where I keep most of my actual information. This is really about who I need to contact, tracking emails, and just quick look at their system so I don't have to go into my other reports. I don't go into the weeds in this. I don't have the patience for it, quite frankly. But you can, and you can do so many things out of here. And you can customize this to so many different levels. It's pretty amazing. You can track your commissions. That's not from the insurance company, that's you putting it in, just like the other guys have to do as well. Lindsay, you're going to ask me something?
That's right. No, that's okay. Jay, Edward had a question. How long would you have spent setting it up and customizing it? Did you do it yourself, or did you have a team help, just trying to gauge the required investment?
Oh, yeah, I did no customization. It comes like this. The only customization that I have done, so let's go back into contact. Let's just use Jordan again, for example. So in segmentations, for instance, under category, there are, let's go over here. I'll just show you quickly field values. Whoops, got to spell it properly if you want it to work. So under category, I can just keep adding more categories. So that's the only customization that I've done is I've added some product names to the names that I want. I've added obviously some things in categories. It's really simple. There is no other customization that I have done. This is just off the shelf pretty much. Last couple of things, calendar is right in there. For emails, takes a couple of seconds because it's slow internet for me, but I can email in and out of the system. I choose not to. I run all my emails right out of Outlook, and every incoming and outcoming email will end up in here as well. So everything is duplicated. Oh wow, it's really going slow. And I think I'm, oh no, I thought I was locked into there. I can have documents uploaded in here as well. Again, I don't, because they're all in my OneDrive. And if I ever get a question on a client, I've got everything really well organized over there.
Jay, could you show the commission tab? Could you show the commission tab quick before you leave there?
I've actually never looked at it. Oh, look, I've got some commission, but I entered those ones myself. So, yeah, so that's, that's self-enter. The insurance companies aren't going to be doing that for you. Other things that have been asked about were, here's settings, account management, admin. I don't remember where it is, but I have an assistant and I can set the level. Oh, here it is right in front of my face, access rights. Whoops. How do I get in there? Can you do it now? There we go. So I can set access rights. Lynn, I've given her almost everything. As I add or delete people, I can just add and change their access rights right in here. So it's, and restrictions, of course. So really, really easy to use. But the thing is that for customer service, I just email them right out of here. This is fabulous. So you got the help center. So I'll just say, access, and then it'll either give me all sorts of things that I want. And you could just search on any type of question that you might have about the things that it can do, or you can submit a request for help. So if none of the content that's in there will help you, you just submit your request. And really, I don't think I've ever had to wait more than a few hours before somebody has gotten back to me. So I've been really happy. In fact, what has happened is I've referred people to Equisoft. It takes longer for sales to get back to you than it does for customer service to get back to you, which I think says something about the organization. I've been pretty impressed by that. I've been going really, really fast through here. I think I've gotten everything that I wanted to show you. Just, yeah, like I said, it'll fit whatever it is that you want to do. It's just you as the user has to decide, which system you want to go with, and then you have to decide what types of parameters you want to use. When you're, again, if this is your first time looking at a CRM, when you're speaking to the sales team, they'll whip through a million things and will make it look fantastic, and you will never remember how to do all the things that they showed you how to do. So you're just going to have to pick and choose which things and actions you want, and you're going to have to pick and choose how much time you want to spend, or you want your team to spend, loading information up. Is it actually going to make your lives easier, or is it going to make it harder? So that is, like you could see from Chris Gorey, he loves going into the weeds. I really don't like the weeds. I like picking up the phone and calling people and solving their problems. I know Chris likes to do that too, but he'll sit up at midnight and he'll go into the weeds. I won't. So there are some of the differences you're thinking about it. In terms of cost, there was no upfront for me, but I started with no clients when I started Naviguide, because I didn't bring my clients over from my old organization. What I do pay is $89 per user per month plus GST. That's it.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could offer a little bit more of a clearance on cost. So the full price for the product is just $100 a month. It's month over month. So there's no contract. Our business is based on retention. In terms of upfront costs, there are none unless you want us to do your data transfer for you. So, I mean, that obviously depends on how much data you have, where it's coming from. But those are developers that do that. So it's kind of like a per hour charge. But if you just want access to the program, it's simply $100 a month for full price. But we have a lot of partnership agreements with a lot of MGAs. So if you work under a mutual fund dealer, an MGA, or anything like that, we could offer preferential pricing. And also if you're getting into like the, I would say 30 plus usership, we could do preferential pricing for that as well.
And other than Outlook and Google, any other email and calendar integrations that you guys do?
There's a MailChimp integration coming. It's not here yet, but it's on the way. I'm not sure if it's going to be next quarter or the quarter after that. In terms of email marketing, I would say that's the next big one.
So that's everything that I had. Well, there's more and more and more I could keep showing you, but I know that time is tight.
There's some questions, Jay.
Yeah.
Can you do a newsletter marketing through the CRM with templates and analysis?
I've never done it. I just use MailChimp, but Paulo, can you?
Well, that's the idea is that the integration with MailChimp will be the one to kind of, because it's a little more robust on the marketing side. You can do mass mailers for sure in Equisoft, but if I'm being frank, I think the MailChimp integration coming is really what's going to give a huge boost to that side of things.
So nice. So I won't have to double enter into MailChimp. I'll just be able to upload. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Nice. Does the system track annual trend, IBNRs, etc.?
Well, if I plan it myself, that's your own integration, how you use the program.
Okay. Then there's a question or a comment. There's a group insurance tab to where you can enter renewal dates, premium shares, taxability, Equisoft cost is 81. Okay, so we already covered that. Can everyone, so to the group of you, comment on what their experience has been when canceling a CRM and the ownership of the data?
Well, I've canceled and moved multiple CRM over my careers. I own all the data, and I've never had an issue.
Yeah, so we just we could provide you with like an Excel archived file. If anything, it's really just a software service. We don't keep any hold on that or anything like that. And I saw a comment that somebody had commented that the price is 81. It's not. It could be that maybe that was preferential pricing through an MGA.
Well, that's true. I got you guys through Hub.
There you go. Exactly. So we do have partnerships with hubs, and we do have partnerships with a lot of the carriers, but the full price, let's just say, would be $100 a month
Per user.
plus tax. Yeah, per user.
Thanks, Paulo. Go ahead, Chris. Price.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to add, I think that the big thing here is what I said earlier about garbage in, garbage out. There is a plethora of information that you could put in, but you're going to have to track it all. And so it comes back to what is the most essential thing that's driving your business. And I think the other final comment I'll make is why we chose Zoho and all these different platforms are going to be great is that the whole point of the CRM is not what we're using it for, but it's 1 and 1 should make 3. And what I mean by that is that you should be able to use these systems to sort of make your business more efficient, not to sort of create more work, but to be more efficient. So Zoho, and I'm sure Equisoft, and I'm sure Salesforce can do all of that, but we're not there yet, unfortunately, in that if I wanted to automate processes that nobody in our office has to be involved in sending out a welcome letter or sending out a newsletter. If you want to automate things, then that is the real, that's the real sweet spot for these systems, is that you don't want to be doing work. You want the system to be able to do that for you. I can unequivocally tell you that this program, Zoho, can do that. We just haven't got there yet. We're so busy working on our business that we don't have the time to sort of put in place the processes to be able to do that. But that's when you're going to really leverage, we're calling it CRM, but who needs a CRM? Outlook can do that. It's if you can use the platform to be better, that's the real nugget.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say, everybody asks, how do I track average increases and stuff? And it's exactly like what Chris said. Put in useful information that you're going to use, so I can pull up, my block, what my average increase is, what my average increase is with Manulife versus Empire and stuff. I feel like too many people go overboard trying to collect data they'll never use. And any of you that have reached out to me to say, hey, what's your average health increase versus your average dental increase versus your average? I go, I don't care. I don't track that number. I could, my system will allow it, but I track the number that matters, which is bottom line, because that's what clients look at year after year after year. Doesn't matter if dental went up 50% and health went down 50%, they care that it was a 0% increase. So garbage in, garbage out, skip the garbage.
And that's the key. You're absolutely right. And it's the same thing when you're setting up your CRM. It's what are the things that you think are important to you or to your clients or to your prospects. And that's the information you have to decide if you're going to enter it or not. You can't, none of us can do everything.
I think can I add one
Chris.
thing, Linz?
Absolutely.
I think one thing is, kind of piggybacking off what Chris said, it's all about the data that you've got in your CRM. Yeah, I put a hell of a lot in there, but I also attach every single email. I don't know if it's because I was married to a PNC brokerage principal for 22 years, but I always have E&O in the back of my head. And one of the reasons for putting everything in there, probably putting too much data, is to protect my ass in case anything ever happens. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you can invest the money in the CRM, but unless you're actually in there every day adding data into it, it's useless.
Right. Paulo, there's a question from the audience asking if you could please share your contact information in the chat box.
Yeah, I think I did. Did it show up?
Did you? I don't know. I may have missed it. If
thought I
you
did.
did,
That's
great.
there.
You're on top
I'll
of
do
it,
it
which
again.
is fantastic. No, that's
I'll
good.
send it
Heather,
again.
Heather, question. What about Constant Contact instead of MailChimp?
Well, I The only integration I know on the marketing email side is MailChimp. That's the next big one that we're working on.
Okay, and does Equisoft have an available API or does it connect with Zapier?
Zapier, no. API, yes. It's a request though that has to be made. It's not something that's just kind of given out. It would depend for what. So it would really depend for what it. I would need kind of like a specific example.
Thank you. Edward, Chris, I don't know if it was Chris Price or Chris Gorey, so Ed, you might have to pop on. Did you have to manually add your emails to the CRM? I don't know if Eddie's there.
I can answer that. Everything is automatically integrated with Outlook 365. We don't have to do anything like that. I think is beautiful. Just to what Chris Gorey said, you know, everything's automatic. All the emails that we send, as long as we have a contact in the system, and even if you don't, the system unfortunately sets up a contact for you, so every email can be tracked. So I think from that standpoint, it's fantastic.
Yeah, same with Equisoft.
Yeah. And with Gmail, all I do is when someone sends me an email, it automatically checks to see if they're a contact within Salesforce. And if not, I just click on add to Salesforce. It automatically populates their name, email address, and company name if possible. And you click on save and boom, they're in Salesforce. Literally takes 2 seconds.
And I'll mention Applied, you can actually send a PDF application out to the client, and all of that data would just automatically be imported right into Applied, kind of whatever they fill in, name, address, email, everything.
Do all of
Same.
them integrate with SharePoint in some shape or form, or Microsoft 365 in that sense?
Equisoft does.
Not SharePoint for me, just the Outlook. Like everything is email driven, not necessarily. SharePoint to me is a bit of a separate application for your client files. So yeah, for us, it's only the email that integrates, not the SharePoint. You can attach files, but that's overkill in my mind. If you have SharePoint, like, I don't know, like that's an easy system to use. And SharePoint has mobile as well, so it's right on your iPhone. I don't know.
Eddie apparently does. I just Google it, but I don't use it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salesforce, right?
Yeah, a couple of things I missed with mine. It has a needs analysis tool for if you're doing individual planning. You could track various business owners. You could attach different people. When you're setting up clients, you set them up as individuals or organizations. So people you can attach to people as if they're husband and wife or mom and dad, or mom and kid sort of thing. And with business owners, you can attach the owners and all the shareholders. So again, different ways that you can make things work.
Awesome. Jay, you didn't mention, is there anything you don't like about Equisoft or that you would change? Paulo, plug your ears.
What would I change? No, you know what? It does what I need. So yeah, I haven't really found anything that I don't like. But I'm a simple user though. I'm really not picky. It does what I need.
Right. Awesome. Well, there's no more questions in the chat box. Does anybody have anything before we pass it over to Blake to wrap up the session?
Can I say one quick thing? If no, you can say no. If people are holding off selecting one to see who integrates with group insurance companies first, don't wait. That's not going to happen quickly. If it does, it might happen with 1 or 2 companies, and it won't be the ones you want it to be. Like companies like Empire are kind of maybe ahead of the curve in other areas. Others are like decades behind. So make your choice on anything but that. So the integrations we see in P&C and happening in life, we're far, far, far away from there. So unless Chris tells different.
I'm just going to add something to it. So, you know, Cleidis, CLIEDIS, I attended one of their meetings, 2016. They actually brought me in to talk about EDI standards because I know that from the P&C side for benefits. It wasn't on their radar then, and I've followed them. It hasn't come up in any newsletters or publications they've sent out since then. So just to what Dave said, don't hold your breath.
Right. Dave, do you have another question or no? Okay. Anybody else before we pass it over to Blake Waddell?
Well, I'll just jump in and mention that I actually use it as a big sales tools as well. You don't know how many brokers store stuff on their local C drive. And so when I'm in pitching a prospect, I'm just like, we're using the exact same security features as Hub, Gallagher, all of these real big players, and you're giving us a lot of real sensitive data. So it's really important you know how we're handling it and how we're storing it, because a lot of times it's not being handled and stored right by their current broker.
Hey, Jay, how are you using it for retirement as well?
Oh, for group RSP?
Yeah.
A little bit. The same basic way that you saw me with group benefits. I'll click on the investment tab and I'll just set it up the exact same way over there.
Okay, thanks.
Blake. He is too young for sure. Okay, over to you, Blake.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, kind of we were all brought together, as they said earlier, by CGIB. So we've got Dave there if you want to give a little wave, Dave. And he's just done so much for the industry of kind of advisors helping advisors. And there's so many clients out there and potential clients. There's no sense in the good advisors kind of fighting over them. Let's go just take them off of the bad advisors. And that's kind of the basis of NGBM is let's make advisors be better and go scoop up more business from the advisors who aren't doing their job very well. Other thing is keep an outlook on February, because we're going to be having our next kind of coffee chat discussion where you just ask questions and it's an open forum. And so that'll be hitting your inbox probably sometime in December or January to save the date. And just a big thank you to everybody that's attending. I think it's just awesome the turnout we get for these events. When we first started it, we never thought they'd be this big. So I think it's just awesome. So just a big thank you to you, all the participants as well.
And thank you to you guys for organizing this, and Chris and all the people that spoke today, Chris and whatever, everybody, you know who you are, for sharing all that you do back again. That's what it's all about, helping each other get ahead. And yeah, there's 400,000 businesses in Canada, under 100 employees. Half of those don't have benefits. Lots of business to go around.
Great.
So what
Thank
he's
you,
saying,
everybody.
go save the world one benefit plan at a time.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.